Okay, my friends, welcome to the first episode of the Christ-Centered Body Image podcast. I am so excited to be launching this podcast and to share more information about Christ-centered body image and viewing our body, and even just thinking about talking about having conversations about how we can do fitness and even our eating habits and health from a faith-based, a God-centered, a Christ-centered, a biblical-centered approach. So that's some of the stuff that I want to chat about on this podcast going forward. I hope to have guests on to help share other people's experiences with their challenges with food, with fitness, and with their body. So that's just a little bit about what I hope is provided on this podcast. Now, I'm going to give you a little bit of context as to some background about me and my history with fitness, with food, with health, and with body image, because I think that can be helpful to explain why Christ-centered body image and where it came from. And I'll also just have you guys know that I am recording these both as podcasts as well as videos. If you are a visual learner, I'm going to also be posting these on a YouTube channel. So if you want to watch and listen, you can check them out there. If you just want to be able to listen when you're going for a walk or you're driving, traveling, you can listen to them as well. So my name is Charissa. I am an online nutrition coach. I absolutely love helping people improve their eating habits. And yeah, I'm just going to give you some information about me and my background and my story. So I am originally from upstate New York. I grew up in a little town called Hudson Falls, and I now live in San Diego, California. I moved here almost 4 years ago for work and weather. Growing up, I would say I was pretty active. I played field hockey. I danced. I loved dance and field hockey. They were my favorite. And I also ran a little bit of track, but I didn't get into fitness until after I got my degree in kinesiology. It's actually really funny that right before I got my degree in kinesiology was when I started to try and work out a little bit more. And so, like I mentioned, it wasn't until after I got my degree that I actually got into fitness per se, quote unquote, fitness. So after I got my degree in kinesiology, some of my fellow classmates, as well as one of my friends that I worked with in my hometown, I saw them competing in bodybuilding, and it kind of always intrigued me and interested me. And there was honestly a couple of years there where I had told myself, oh, like I'll do a show. And then like that show would come and go, and I never really did it. And that happened for maybe about 2 years. And finally, in I think maybe 2014, I decided that I really actually wanted to do my first show. It was something that I wanted to do to challenge myself, see if I was able to stick to the diet, the training. I was honestly really afraid. I didn't think or believe that I could stick to the training or a diet for a show. And so I committed to doing the show. I bought my suit, I registered, I started training, and I did my first show in May of 2015. And this was in a natural bodybuilding federation in upstate New York. And that federation was called OCB. And the show was in Albany, somewhere in Albany, the capital of New York State. And honestly, my show day was so much fun. I still look back on that day as like one of the best days. Like it was just so enjoyable. I mean, I was honestly super nervous about getting on stage in a little bikini, but I so much enjoyed seeing other people show off their hard work, as well as competing in bodybuilding. For me at that point in time really combined a couple of loves for me. I also did the musicals when I was in high school. So getting on stage and dancing and doing the musicals and also showcasing, I guess, fitness, if you will. I really just loved being on stage, and I had just such a fun day. And I ended up getting my pro card at my first show, which was wild. I mean, honestly, as I was going into that show, I think most people want their pro card, and it's probably always a dream for people to like, oh, maybe I could get my pro card at my first show. And while of course I think I wanted that, I didn't necessarily expect that to happen, but it did. So I got my pro card, which then of course I decided I was going to, compete in a pro show. So about 5 months after my first show, I competed in my first pro show in Cape Cod, Massachusetts, and I ended up placing third, in which I qualified for the World Championships of this federation, which I think was about 2 weeks later. And so 2 weeks after that pro show, my first pro show, I competed in the World Championships in Washington, D.C., in which I placed third. So I placed in the top three at my first World Championship in the professional federation of OCB bodybuilding. At that point, the professional federation was IFPA, but it was just like really so cool and unbelievable that had happened. And however, what ended up happening to me and my, I guess, story was that the dieting of bodybuilding became really unhealthy. I rebounded pretty quickly. And what rebounding means is all of the, let's say, the weight and the fat that you lost from doing the diet for a bodybuilding show, I gained that back plus some. Honestly, this is pretty common of an effect that, dieting really strict and also like losing weight pretty fast. That's a pretty common thing that happens to people. It's not sustainable and maintainable. And it started to really impact my mental and emotional health and relationship towards food and fitness. So after 3 years of competing, so my first year, actually the first 6 months of ever competing, I did 3 shows. In my second year of competing, I did 1 show. And then my third year of competing, I did 1 show. And then after that show, I decided that I was going to retire. I honestly had this vision, if you will, of wanting to have a normal and healthy relationship with food again. I believed that it was possible. I thought about and had heard about, like kids have this normal relationship with food. They eat when they're hungry. They lose interest in their food when they're full and they stop eating. And there isn't a ton of shame or guilt or emotions around food. And I really just desired having that sort of relationship again, and also desired wanting to love fitness again. Like that was one of the reasons I got into it, because I really enjoyed it. So I decided to, quote unquote, retire. I left bodybuilding. But what's really cool is during the time that I was bodybuilding, I would honestly say there was a little bit, or maybe a lot of bit of pride there. I got my pro card and I kind of had this sense of entitlement that, oh, I have my pro card now. I should have a sponsorship. I should be sponsored. And so I was looking for sponsors from supplement companies. It's kind of something that people do in the bodybuilding world. It's kind of something that some people have, if they're lucky enough or blessed enough to get a supplement sponsorship. And so this Christian supplement company was looking for an athlete. And so I applied for their athlete search. And back then I was not a Christian. I did not know the Lord. I had no idea anything, honestly, about the faith, about Christ, about having a relationship with him and following him. But they brought me on, total God thing, to be an athlete for their company, even though I wasn't a Christian athlete. And so that's kind of the introduction into my story of how I came to know the Lord and really began my relationship with Christ and live this life of faith, if you will, this Christian life. But after it was probably about like the summer that I retired from bodybuilding, that I got a job in San Diego working for Exos, a performance company. And so I moved from New York to San Diego for work and for weather. And honestly, it was kind of a bit of me chasing happiness, seeking and searching for happiness and something to fulfill me. I was coming to San Diego for better weather, better people, a better job. And I got here. I honestly was so excited. I did the drive to California from New York by myself and was on such a high. And then I got here and I was honestly alone for the first time in my life, and had a lot of things that I needed to face and process. And I was really struggling with depression and loneliness. And I really hated the weekends because I had so much free time on my hands and I didn't know a ton of people. And so I dreaded the weekends. And this one Saturday night, I was driving home from a friend's house that was in town that I had met through other friends that actually she lived in Vegas, but my friends were in New York that had introduced me to her. But I was on my way home, just really struggling about not wanting to spend like a Saturday night alone by myself. And I heard, I wouldn't say audible, but like that still small voice of God say, go to church tomorrow. And because of Flight, the supplement company that I had been brought on as an athlete during my bodybuilding career, they had told me about the Rock Church, and that the pastor of the Rock Church really loved fitness and health. And he was a former professional football player. That's Miles McPherson. And so I looked up the church times, decided on the time I was going to go. And I've honestly never, the feeling that I had was that I was exactly where I was supposed to be. Like, that is exactly what I was supposed to be doing, even though I was so nervous to be going to church, because I was going to church and I was really afraid, like, oh my gosh, like I'm not a Christian and I'm going to church. Are they going to find out? Are they going to know that I'm not a Christian and I'm here? And I'm the type of person that I'm kind of like, can be an all in person. So of course, like I go into this big church and I go pretty much like front and center. I went to the front, like 3 rows away from like the stage. And anyway, 2 weeks later, I ended up giving my life to the Lord. I had gotten to a place where I was really new and ready that I don't make good decisions in my life. And I wanted to give my life to somebody else, to let somebody else make decisions for me. And it was actually right around that same time that I went to church for the first time that, I told the story that I had given up bodybuilding, and one of my friends had asked me to try CrossFit. She thought I would really like it. She had done CrossFit for years. So I went to her CrossFit gym and tried CrossFit, and I really did love it. I fell in love with it. It was this change from focusing on how I look and aesthetics to focusing on, what my body can do and is capable of. But funny enough is that during my time of working with Flight, the Christian supplement company, they started working and partnering with another Christian company who was a faith and fitness ministry. And I had met Andrea Ager. And so I had heard of this ministry, Faith RX. So when I gave my life to the Lord and I found CrossFit, I remember, or like the Lord brought to my mind this organization. And I thought to myself, oh, let me see if there is a Faith RX chapter here in San Diego that I can get involved with. And there was. And so I started going to their Friday night events. And honestly, I met so many amazing people in that organization that from that chapter that I still love. They're no longer here in San Diego anymore, but they have a really special place in my heart, and they're really incredible people and they really love the Lord. But so this is kind of how I started my journey into following Christ, as well as my journey into, I guess, more CrossFit, as well as my journey to working with Faith RX. And so that's a little bit of my background. And so let's talk about a little more of my journey in fitness and health and with body image. So at that point in time, I had found CrossFit, and I would say I honestly had like a pretty decent relationship with food and fitness at that time. I probably wasn't aware of it, that there's still maybe some stuff lingering, if you will, but it had gotten better. But I would say, like, fast forward a few years and my relationship with food and fitness got a bit unhealthy and excessive again. And I didn't really realize that it was excessive and unhealthy until it started to affect my health. And when it started to affect my health, that was obviously a huge red flag that there's something going on that is not right, that is not healthy. But I was praying for God to restore my health. I was praying for him to restore my health back to me. And I honestly didn't realize that he was going to bring me on this journey to heal my relationship with food, with fitness even more, and with body image. I really had no idea that was the journey that he was going to bring me on. But at this point in time, my behaviors with food had gotten pretty, like I'd mentioned, excessive and extreme. And I didn't realize it, if you will, because I feel like it's this slow progress towards being pretty restrictive and extreme with my food and my eating habits. And so then I also started to have some really uncomfortable behaviors with food that were kind of like a backlash effect to the levels of caloric restriction as well as like mental restriction of like food rules that I had. And so, yeah, then on that journey, was so nervous because honestly, yeah, like going on that journey was really hard, but we can talk more about that perhaps in a different episode. So then I went on this journey to heal my relationship with food and with fitness and with my body. And as I was on this journey to heal my relationship with food, fitness, and my body, I found myself wondering, like, what does God's word say about the body? What does God say or have to say about body image? What does the Bible say about the body? What does the Bible say about body image? And so I just really had this desire, like I think that God put in my heart to start doing more research and really see what like a Christ-centered, a biblical perspective of the body and what body image was. And so then through this journey, and then also because I had been working with Faith RX, I had this great opportunity to be able to give a talk on Christ-centered body image at one of Faith RX True Strength, Faith and Fitness camps. And after giving that talk a couple of times, I realized, 45 minutes to an hour is not enough time for me to talk about and really dig into all the things that I think go into a biblical understanding of the body, as well as a Christ-centered, God-centered perspective of the body, which then is how we feel and perceive our body, which is our body image. And so then I did a lot of research and I put together this course, which I now run, Christ-centered body image course, which is really trying to bring a biblical perspective to the body and a very humble attempt to bring God's word in the Bible to this topic. And something I also noticed with body image as I was kind of healing my relationship with my body and developing and improving body image, is I was wondering how many other people struggled with this. And I started talking to people about it in the gym. I worked at a gym and I started talking to my friends and asking them, hey, have you ever struggled with body image? Do you struggle with body image? If you have, like, how did you overcome it? What's it like now? And I started asking friends and coworkers about this. And I was amazed at honestly how many people indicated that, yes, like they have struggled with it or they do struggle with it. And so I just really had this like moment of, I really wanted to go on this journey to like normalize the conversations about this and to like bring these struggles to the light. Cause I really, in healing my relationship with food and with fitness and with my body, knowing that other people struggled with the same thing and meeting other people and having other people understand you and your struggles and like talking about it and bringing it to the light brought so much healing. And so that's something that I kind of want to do, is have these conversations, start these conversations to bring these things to the light, to be able to start to improve them and heal them. And so that's more or less how that is the background of me and my story and my journey through fitness, through even nutrition, and even how Christ-centered body image came to be. And I've been in the fitness industry too. That's a little bit more background. For over 10 years, I graduated with my degree in kinesiology in 2010, and I have been working in the fitness industry in management roles, in personal training roles, and in coaching roles in a variety of different realms and organizations, community, health and wellness, like at corporate or global gym or at global gyms, as well as like, and I was manager at an Anytime Fitness and a personal trainer at an Anytime Fitness. And then from there, I worked in collegiate health, wellness, and recreation. I was the supervisor of a fitness center and helped them to, implement a wellness program for students and staff at the college. And also worked for a bit at San Diego State University as a health and wellness coordinator to help them with their group fitness program and their classes. And I also have worked at Exos as a group exercise manager, so managing the programs of group fitness for people there, as well as becoming a coach at Exos. And so helping people in their fitness and their performance as a coach at Exos. And then also had the amazing opportunity to work at Invictus CrossFit or Invictus Fitness in San Diego as a coach there, helping lead the CrossFit classes as well as nutrition coaching. And I've always more or less been doing nutrition coaching on the side for myself, for people who want to improve their nutrition and their eating habits, like all throughout the year. So that's something I kind of have always done. And so that's just a little bit of my history. I've been in the fitness industry and been into, health and fitness and wellness and nutrition for quite a long time. And I really love, I do love health. I do love fitness. I do love movement. I do love moving my body. And so, yeah. And then throughout all of that, God has really brought me on this incredible journey to help me heal my relationship with food and with fitness and with my body image. And as a result, I want to be able to share that, I guess, hope with others, and also to share this information that I have found so interesting and helpful, in the hope that it helps other people to improve or inspire them to go on a journey to heal their relationship with food, with fitness, or with their body. And so with this podcast, with the Christ-Centered Body Image podcast, I want to share a lot of the things that I have learned in my research about a Christ-centered body image, as well as how to have more faith-based relationship to fitness, how we can use and do fitness in a way that glorifies God, as well as bring on other people to share their experiences with, let's say, body image or with fitness, and to have these conversations and to hopefully just like share information that's really encouraging and helpful to those who are listening. And so here we are, the first episode of Christ-Centered Body Image, and I'm so excited to continue this season. I already pretty much have season 1 and season 2 planned out. So that is what we're going to do. So I hope you stay tuned, and I hope this podcast is super helpful to just enlighten you and enlighten the eyes of your heart to renew and transform how you think about your body. One of the main scriptures that I base Christ-centered body image on is Romans 12:2. Do not be conformed to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. So what I really hope is to provide information, education, knowledge, and just insight on this podcast to help people renew their mind, especially as it comes to how we think about, perceive, feel about, view our body. So this is Christ-Centered Body Image. I am your host, Charissa, and I'm so excited to have this podcast to share this information. And I really hope that it is helpful for you. We'll see you next episode.